You may walk into a room and feel invisible. Your voice may not carry the same weight it used to. People may speak around you, not to you, and it can hurt, not in loud, dramatic ways, but in small, silent moments that leave you questioning, do I still matter? The world may move faster than it once did. The people around you may seem distracted, absorbed in their own lives, their own screens, their own noise, and yet you're still here, breathing, feeling, hoping, wondering. You matter, not because of what you do, not because of how much you achieve, but because of who you are. You matter in the way you've loved. You matter in the way you've endured. You matter in the stories you hold, the hands you've held, the lessons you carry. Your presence is not a shadow. It is a light that continues to glow, sometimes softly, but never less brightly. This video isn't here to tell you to stay busy or look young. It's here to gently remind you that being seen, valued, and respected isn't about chasing relevance. It's about reclaiming your dignity. It's about standing tall in your truth. It's about knowing that your worth never expired with time. Let's explore 7 gentle, healing ways to remind yourself and the world that your presence still carries meaning. Because it does. Always has. Still does. Always will. Number 1, reclaim your voice. In a world that often overlooks the quiet, the elderly, or those who move at a gentler pace, your voice may feel like it has faded into the background. But here's the truth. Your voice still holds weight. Your words still matter. And they deserve to be heard, not just remembered. Reclaiming your voice doesn't mean speaking louder than everyone else. It means allowing yourself to speak at all, without apology. It means honoring your thoughts, preferences, stories, and feelings, even when others don't ask for them. Sometimes we begin to shrink our presence because we think we're taking up space others don't want us to occupy. We become cautious, quiet. We avoid being too much. But here's the gentle reminder: you are not too much. You are enough, and your voice is not only welcome, it is necessary. Start with the small things. Say what you want to eat at dinner. Share a childhood story that still makes you laugh. Tell someone when you feel tired, upset, or joyful. Speak kindly to yourself in the mirror. Each time you express yourself, verbally, in writing, through art, or even silence, you reinforce your right to take up space. There's power in a handwritten letter, in a sentence that begins with, "I remember when," in a soft, "no thank you," or a firm, "that matters to me." Reclaiming your voice can also be about finding new ways to be heard. Technology can be intimidating, but it's also a gateway. Try recording voice memos for your family. Try writing short reflections on paper. Even if no one hears them right away, the act of expressing them is what heals. When you write in a journal, you're not just keeping track of your day, you're reminding yourself, I was here. I had thoughts. I had feelings. I mattered. And don't worry about whether your thoughts are profound. Speak what is real. Speak what is honest. Speak what is yours. Try this. Start a daily truth journal. Write down one honest thought each day. Not for anyone else, just for you. You don't need permission to speak. You just need to remember. You still can. And the more often you let yourself speak, the more you'll begin to feel, I am not invisible. I am still living. I am still me. Number 2, connect authentically, not frequently. In a time when digital friendships and surface-level interactions dominate, true connection can feel rare and even harder to come by as you age. You might notice that your social circle has changed. Some people have moved away, others have passed on, and some relationships have simply faded over time. And with those shifts can come a quiet ache, the longing to feel truly seen. But the good news is, you don't need to surround yourself with dozens of people to feel valued. In fact, the most powerful relationships are often the simplest. One deep, authentic connection is more nourishing than 10 casual acquaintances. When we're younger, we often prioritize quantity: how many people we know, how many events we attend, how busy our calendar looks. But as we grow older, the heart begins to crave quality: a meaningful conversation, a safe space, a trusted soul. Authentic connection means being with someone who listens, not to respond, but to understand. Someone who sees beyond the wrinkles or white hair and recognizes the vibrant spirit still alive within you. You deserve that kind of connection. And here's something beautiful. You can initiate it. It doesn't always take a grand gesture. It might be a phone call that starts with, I was thinking about you, or a handwritten card that says, I miss our talks. or simply sitting beside someone, sharing silence without needing to fill it. Sometimes the most authentic connections come from vulnerability, saying things like, I've been feeling a little lonely lately. I'd love to catch up. I miss the way we used to laugh together. These aren't signs of weakness, they're invitations to deeper connection. And more often than not, they open the door to warmth, empathy, and renewed bonds. Don't be afraid to reach out first. Waiting can become a habit that deepens isolation. Be brave enough to go first, to extend your hand, your heart, your presence. And remember, you can also be the one who listens deeply. Sometimes others are waiting for a safe space too. Be the person who sits without judgment, who listens without interrupting, who makes another feel seen. Don't be afraid to say, I miss you, or I'd love to hear your voice. You'd be surprised how much healing can begin with just those words. Finally, recognize that connection isn't limited to people. You can connect deeply with nature, with art, with animals, with spiritual practices. You can feel seen by the wind through the trees, by the pages of a poem, by the warmth of a pet curled at your feet. Connection is about presence, not just company. So seek it, offer it, receive it. Because when two souls meet in honesty, age disappears. And in that sacred space, you remember, I am still someone worth knowing. I am still someone worth loving. Tip, don't be afraid to say, I miss you, or I'd love to hear your voice. Number three, share your wisdom. Even if no one asks, you've lived decades, not just of time, but of experiences, of mistakes made, love given, strength tested, and truths uncovered. That wisdom doesn't expire with age, it deepens. Yet many older adults hold back their stories, waiting for someone to ask. And when no one does, silence begins to grow. But silence doesn't mean your wisdom has no place. It simply means the world has forgotten how to ask for it. And it's up to us, not with arrogance, but with gentle confidence, to offer it anyway. Because the truth is, there are people who need to hear what you've learned. Younger generations searching for direction, friends who need encouragement, even strangers who would benefit from a kind word or a life lesson. Your wisdom is more than facts, it's perspective. It's the ability to say, this too shall pass, or here's what helped me, or even just, I've been there. You've seen the world change politically, technologically, culturally. You've loved and lost. You've learned to let go and to hold on. You've made peace with things others are still wrestling with. Share that, not to lecture, not to prove, but to illuminate. Action. Write letters to your grandchildren or nieces and nephews. Share what you've learned about love, loss, joy, and aging. Or record short voice notes or videos for your family. Start a memory jar where you jot down moments from your life. Host a monthly story tea with friends where you each share something meaningful. Even casual conversations can hold deep lessons. That time you forgave someone who never apologized. That season of grief you thought would never end, but did. That unexpected joy of starting over at 60, 70, or even 80. These moments are maps, and someone somewhere is walking a similar road and could use your light. Don't worry if your stories don't seem dramatic or polished. Speak them as they are, honest, imperfect, real. Because when you share your truth, you give others permission to find theirs. And every time you say, this is what I've learned, you remind the world, I'm still learning, I'm still here, I still matter. Action. Write letters to your grandchildren or nieces and nephews. Share what you've learned about love, loss, joy, and aging. Number four, redefine contribution. In a world that often equates value with productivity, it's easy to forget that contribution doesn't always wear a uniform or come with a paycheck. After retirement, or even just as you slow down, it can feel like society no longer recognizes your role. But just because you've stepped away from a career doesn't mean you've stepped away from purpose. Contribution is not confined to employment, it's expressed in presence, in care, in everyday acts that seem small but hold deep meaning. You contribute when you offer a warm smile to someone passing by, call a friend just to check in, share a recipe with a neighbor, sit quietly with someone in grief. These moments may not make headlines, but they make hearts feel held. You contribute through your attention when you truly listen. You contribute through your steadiness when you offer perspective in uncertain times. You contribute through your consistency, showing up, even quietly, for those who need you. In fact, many people find that their most meaningful impact begins after retirement. That's when you have the freedom to give, not for reward, but from love. You can mentor without pressure, volunteer with joy, nurture relationships with more time and tenderness. Reminder, just your presence can change the energy in a room. You're not done. You're different now, and perhaps more powerful than ever. Reframe your value. Instead of asking, "What do I do?" ask, "What do I offer?" Do you offer steadiness? Do you offer comfort? Do you offer humor, patience, prayer, or insight? All of that is contribution. And perhaps the greatest contribution you make now is modeling how to age with grace. You show others what it means to embrace life slowly, to shift roles without losing identity, to remain kind and curious and open. So don't dismiss what you give just because it isn't loud or labeled. You are still a giver, still a source, still a presence that matters. You are a quiet kind of pillar, the kind that holds up more than anyone knows. Number 5, dress for yourself, not for disappearance. There's a quiet pressure, especially as we age, to fade into the background, to dress in muted tones, to choose comfort over confidence, to not stand out. But dressing in a way that reflects who you are isn't about vanity, it's about visibility. How you dress is a form of self expression. It's not about impressing others, it's about affirming your presence to yourself. For years, perhaps decades, you dressed for practicality, for work, for raising a family, for expectations. But now you get to dress for joy, for ease, for boldness, if you wish, for softness, if that's who you are today. Clothes are not just fabric, they're energy, they're memory. They can remind you of who you've been and who you're still becoming. Tip, try wearing a color you used to love but haven't in years. See how it shifts your energy. You don't need a special occasion to wear something that makes you feel good. The occasion is you. Maybe it's a pair of earrings that make you feel elegant, a scarf that belonged to someone you loved, a blouse in a color that makes your eyes glow. These small choices whisper, I am still here. I am still someone. And others notice not just the outfit, but the energy it gives you. Dressing with intention reminds people that you have not disappeared, that you still choose, that you still care, that you are still expressing, not just existing. So dress in a way that reflects your aliveness. Dress in a way that lifts your shoulders. Dress in a way that makes you smile when you catch your reflection, because you are not fading. You are shining differently now, and the world still needs to see that light. Number 6, engage with purpose, not pressure. As you grow older, the expectations that once ruled your schedule begin to fade, but so can the sense of direction. Without the demands of a job or the responsibilities of raising a family, it's easy to ask yourself, what now? The answer isn't to stay busy just for the sake of being busy. It's to stay engaged on your terms, with your heart as the guide. Engagement is not about productivity, it's about presence. It's about choosing to connect with life, not because you have to, but because you want to. This might mean taking a class on something you've always been curious about, whether it's painting, gardening, or world history. Volunteering your time, not to feel needed, but to feel connected. Exploring new spiritual practices or going deeper into the ones that have always given you peace. Visiting new places, even if it's just a different park or part of town. When you engage from a place of curiosity and joy, it brings vitality back into your days. It reminds you that growth doesn't stop with age, it simply shifts form. And you don't need to chase achievements. You can do things slowly, quietly. Purpose in this chapter may look different, but it still matters deeply. Purpose might be nurturing a friendship, showing up for someone in need, writing down your memories, creating something with your hands. Whatever it is, let it come from within, not from outside pressure. Give yourself permission to explore without judgment, try new things without needing to be good at them, rest without guilt. And remember, doing nothing isn't a failure. Stillness can be sacred too. But when you do feel called to move, create, or connect, follow that spark. Gentle practice. Ask yourself each morning, what's one thing I can do today that brings me closer to who I am? Even the smallest act, reading a poem, calling a loved one, stretching your body, can reconnect you to your vitality because you are not finished. You are still unfolding. And every act of engagement is a quiet declaration. I am still here. I'm still curious. I am still becoming. Gentle practice. Ask yourself each morning, what's one thing I can do today that brings me closer to who I am? Number 7, hold your own gaze. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your eyes. Really look, not for wrinkles, not for flaws, not for how you've changed, but for how you've remained. You've survived, you've grown, you've lost and loved and lasted, and still you're here. So many older adults avoid their reflection, not out of vanity, but out of grief. Grief for who they used to be, for what they used to do, for how the world used to see them. But when you avoid your own gaze, you abandon your own presence, and you deserve better. Hold your gaze, not to critique, but to honor. Look into those eyes that have seen decades of joy and pain. Notice the softness in your smile. Trace the map of your face, knowing every line was earned. When you hold your own gaze, you say, I still belong to this world. I still belong to myself. Try this as a quiet practice. Each morning, before anyone else sees you, see yourself. Look into your reflection and say something kind, even if it feels awkward at first. Let the mirror reflect not just a body, but a story. You are not just older, you are deeper. You are not just aging, you are expanding. You are not just surviving, you are witnessing life fully. Let yourself be seen by the one person whose vision truly matters, you. Affirmation, I am still here, I am still becoming, I am still enough. And every time you look with love, you begin to believe it just a little more. Affirmation, I am still here, I am still becoming, I am still enough. Your worth was never tied to what you could do, produce, or achieve. It was always in your presence, in your perspective, in your being. You are not invisible. You are simply in a quieter chapter. And in that stillness, your light still shines. Your hands may move slower, but they still hold love. Your voice may be softer, but it still carries wisdom. Your body may have changed, but your spirit has only grown stronger. Aging isn't about fading away, it's about coming home to yourself. It's a time of return to peace, to truth, to simplicity, and to joy that no longer needs permission. So speak, dress, connect, reflect, move, create, not because you have to, but because you can. Live in a way that reminds the world and yourself that visibility isn't about being loud, it's about being real. You are still a teacher, a witness, a light, and your presence is not past tense. You matter, not in the past tense, but in this very moment, still and always. If this message resonated with you, like this video to help others find it, share it with someone you love. Remind them they still matter too. Subscribe to True Senior Wisdom for more stories, healing reflections, and quiet strength, because someone, somewhere is better today, because you're still here.